Very good day, dear children. A warm wishes to you. Today we will discuss about a poem. Before going to the poem, I would like to say a proverb. Let's start the class with the proverb. See this, children. Read it. What do we don't preach? What we preach, we don't follow. What do we do? What we do, we don't preach. What we preach, we don't follow. This is the proverb. What we do, we don't preach. What we preach, we don't follow. ಏನಿದು ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಬೋಧಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ತಿಳಿ ಹೇಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಹೌದು. In our daily life, we do so many situations. We are facing so many situations. Your parents, friends, relatives, yes, they are telling us so many things. Yes, they preach to you. ಅವರು ಉಪದೇಶ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬಟ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ವಿಂಗ್. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಅದನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಆ ಮದರ್ ಪ್ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾಷನ್. ಹೌದು, ನಮಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮಂದಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಕರುಣೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಯಾಷನ್, ಲವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್. ಬಟ್ ಶೀ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಟು ಆಲ್ ದ ಎನಿಮಲ್ಸ್. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಎಲ್ಲ ಎನಿಮಲ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲವ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Dear children, now you can see here some insects. Can you name these? What are insects? Yes, insects are like small creatures that are visible around us. You might have seen some creatures like this. How was your reaction when you see such insects? See, so many creatures are there, we are hesitate to touch them. Just think about your reaction. Some are very close by to you. See, children, can you see? What are these? Can you identify? Yes. While you seeing these creatures, you yell at your parents. ಹೌದು, ಇದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದನ್ನು ಕಂಡ ಕೂಡಲೇ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಅಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಕರಿತೀರಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ಯು ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್ ಅವೇ. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು? ಅದನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಿಸಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್ ಅವೇ, we never try to compassionately look at a creature which is just like part of creation, like human being only. ನಾವು ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಸಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಎಸ್, ಆರ್ ವಿ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್? ಟುಡೇ we will learn a poem related to this creature. The title of the poem is For a 5-year-old Boy. It is written by Fleur Edgecock. It is talk about how do we treat the fellow creatures. We human beings think that we dominate among them because we have all the right to live on this earth. There is fellow creature which we have to compassionate, friendly too. But what we do and we teach you, we do not compassionate towards them. But we preach you, we say to you, have to compassionate these things. The context of the poem is we need to study. There is a difference between what we preach and what we ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್. ನಾವು ಹೇಳುವುದು ಮತ್ತು ಮಾಡುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸಗಳು ಇದೆ. There is lot of difference that we have, the words we speak or expression that we give. But we practice doing or behaving that we differ. ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯೋಚನೆಗೆ ತಂದುಕೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ವಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೀಚಿಂಗ್. ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಸೇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ಟು ಡೂ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ do. What we say, we are not following. So this poem tells about these two things. Yes, we have to do some in the class or at the home. Nowadays, if your parents are telling about the class and suggest to do work, you does. But if they do not thinking about that and they will not telling about, you are using your mobile phone and working in it. Isn't right? Yes. ಹೌದು. ಏನು, ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೇಳುವವರು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಆಟದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಕೊಳ್ತೀರಿ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿ, ಬರಿತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೇಳುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಗಮನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹೌದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಗಮನವನ್ನು ಕಲಿಕೆಯ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 5 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಗುವಿನ ಬಗೆಗಿನ ಒಂದು ಪದ್ಯ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ. ಆ ಮಗುವಿನ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಅಮ್ಮ ಆ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. Before going to the poem, let's discuss about the poet. The poet Fleur Edgecock. Edgecock, a poet and an editor, was born in 1934 in New Zealand, England, and now she is 86 years old. She studied in Victoria University of Wellington. Adcock mainly wrote about human relationships. She was a librarian by profession. Some of her famous works are The Eyes of the Hurricane, Tigers. It is the first volume of poems. High Tides in the Garden, Meeting the Comet, the Faber Book of 20th Century Women's Poetry, Glass Wings, Dragon Talk. These are her famous works. Her achievements are, see, Order of the British Empire for Literature, Colmanley Award by Society of Authors, New Zealand National Book Award, J.C. Mackey Prize, twice she got, New Zealand National State Library Fund Award. These are her achievements. Dear children, now let's move on to the poem. Now I am going to read the poem. Listen carefully. The poem is written by Fleur Edgecock. It is related to a kind animal called snail. ಇದು ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಬಸವನ ಹುಳುವಿನ ಒಂದು ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಹುಳುವಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಕರುಣೆ ತೋರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪದ್ಯ ನಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. 5 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡುವ. ನಾವು ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ, ಕೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. A snail is climbing up the windowsill into your room after a night of rain. You call me in to see, and I explain that it would be unkind to leave it there. It might crawl to the floor. We must take care that no one squashes it. You understand and carry it outside with careful hand to eat a daffodil. Next stanza. I see then that a kind of faith prevails. Your gentleness is molded still by words. From me, who have trapped mice and shot wild birds. From me, who drowned your kittens, who betrayed your closest relatives, and who pervade the harshest kind of truth to many others. But that is how things are. I am your mother, and we are kind to snail. Dear children, I am reading once again. Listen carefully. For a 5-year-old boy, Fleur Edcock, a snail is climbing up the window sill into your room after a night of rain. You call me in to see, and I explain that it would be unkind to leave it there. It might crawl to the floor. We must take care of that one. No one squashes it. You understand and carry it outside with careful hand to eat a daffodil. For a 5-year-old boy's second stanza, I see then that a kind of faith prevails. Your gentleness is molded still by words from me who have trapped mice and shot wild birds, from me who drawn your kittens, who betrayed your closest relatives, and who pervade the harshest kind of truth to many another. But that is how things are. I am your mother, and we are kind to snail. These is the two stanzas you have to read now. See, children, I have listed some new words here. Glossary words are here. You have to read it now. See, windowsill, lower wooden frame of the window. ಏನು ಕಿಟಕಿಯ ಕೆಳಗಿನ ವುಡನ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ವಿಂಡೋ ಸಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಟು ಈಟ್ ಡ್ಯಾಫೋಡಿಲ್, ಟು ಫೀಡ್ ದ ಸ್ನೇಲ್. ಏನು ಡ್ಯಾಫೋಡಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ನೇಲ್ ತಿನ್ನುವಂತ ಗಿಡಗಳು, ಗಿಡದ ಚಿಗುರುಗಳಾಗಿವೆ. ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಇವನ್ ನೌ, ಪರ್ವೇಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಆನ್ ಡೆಲಿವರ್ಡ್, ಕ್ರೌಲ್ ಮೂವ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೀಸ್, ಹರಿದಾಡುವುದು. I wrote pervade once again, spread or promote, squashes to crush something to juice. ಏನು ಸ್ಕ್ವಾಶ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮೆಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಅದು ಕುಸಿದು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಕ್ವೈಂಟ್, ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಲಿ, ಜನರಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಟ್. ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್. Now let us understand the poem, dear children. See, for a 5-year-old boy, Fleur Edgecock, a snail is climbing up the windowsill into your room after a night of rain. You call me in to see, and I explain that it would be unkind to leave it there. It might crawl to the floor. We must take care that no one squashes it. You understand and carry it outside with careful hand to eat a daffodil. ಏನರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ನೋಡುವ. Now let us understand it. A snail is climbing up the windowsill of your room after a night of rain. ಮಳೆಯ ನಂತರ ಸ್ನೇಲ್ ಬಸವನ ಹುಳು ಕಿಟಕಿಯ ಸೈಡ್ನಿಂದಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೂಮಿನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. Means here a snail is climbing slowly, and it is climbing very very slowly to windowsill or in the edge of the room. Mother said that you call me, And that time, mother explained that if we were live there, it is unkind manner. ಅಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಕರೆದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ನೀವು ಕರಿತೀರಿ. ಈ ಮಗುವಿನ ಭಾವನೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಕರೆದಾಗ ಅಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿಡುವುದು ಏನೋ ಅನ್ಕೈಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ನಾವು ಕರುಣೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಹಾಗೆ ವರ್ತಿಸಿದಾಗೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಲೀವ್ ಇಟ್ ದೇರ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿಡೋದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್ though it might crawl to the door. If it fell down, someone will squashes it, and unknowingly means they will crush it under their foot. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಮೆಟ್ಟಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ and means you have to take that with carefully outside from the home and leave it on a daffodil. Here daffodil means leave it on the small plant which it eat, so it can revive itself. ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನೋ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿಡದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಜಾಗರೂಕತೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಗಿಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ಮರುಜೀವವನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಮೆಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಾಶವಾಗ್ಬೋದು. Without any help of others, it can be revived on the plants, so it can live there happily. Don't let it on the floor. Like this, mother preached it. ಆ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಏನಂತ, ಅದನ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಟೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ herself she is thinking, what is that? See, I see then that a kind of faith prevails. Your gentleness is molded still by words. From me, who have trapped mice and shot wild birds, from me, who drawn your kittens, who betrayed your closest relatives, and who pervade the harshest kind of truth to many other, but that is how things are. I am your mother, and we are kind to snail. Again she is thinking for herself. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅವರಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಂತೆ. ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಇಫ್ ಐ ಸಿ ದೀಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ವುಡ್ ಹಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಫೇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹಿಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದಾ? ಬಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೈಸೆಲ್ಫ್, ಫಾರ್ your gentleness, it was still by words, or just I can say only through many words. She was not as kind to other creatures. ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಇಂತಹ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಉಪದೇಶ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆದರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಏನು, ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಾ? ಹಾಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ ಹಲವು ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಏನಂತ, ಶಿ ಟ್ರಾಪ್ಡ್ ಮೈಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಮೈಸ್ ಈಸ್ wandering there and eating grains, and also she trapped the mice. ಇಲಿಗಳು ಬಂದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಿನ್ನುವಾಗ ಅಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಂತೆ, ಹೌದು ಅದನ್ನು ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲಿ ಮರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸ್ನೇಹಿಲಿಗೆ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಟ್ಟೆ, ಆದರೆ ಇಲಿಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನೇ ನಾಶ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನಲ್ವಾ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಶಿ shooted some wild birds to make delicious food. ಅದೇ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೌದು ಫುಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. hardest thing is how to treat those creature. People advise that don't go there, do this and don't do like this and all. Don't equal to all, cruel to all. We have to preach some kind words, but actually we are not following that. This is the truth, and at last she says that I am your mother, I have to tell the good words. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅವರಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಮಗುವನ್ನು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಯೋಚನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಬೇಕು, ಮಗುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕರುಣೆಯ ಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಯು ಟು ಡೂ ದ ಗುಡ್ ಡೀಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಕೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ to you. But I can't be such a kind woman in her daily life. She regrets herself. It is most only the poet because every mother is loving her child. She is not unkind to all the members, but she has to preach all these things to grow her kid in a good manner. ಆದರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅದನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆದರೂ ಉಪದೇಶವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸಿಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್, ಪ್ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಟು ಹರ್ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್. ಮಗುವಿನ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಗೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪೋಯಮ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ discussed. ಏನಂತೆ, let's list out some points. On a rainy night there was a snail on window sill. ಏನಂತೆ, ವಿಂಡೋ ಸಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ನೇಲ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. Child calls the mother and shows her the snail sneaking. ಮಗು ಅಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಕರೆದು ಆ ಸ್ನೇಲ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಮದರ್ negates the child from hurting it and passes it on to a daffodil flower to feed him. Gentleness is molded by words is what the mother thinks. Then she self introspects, thinking of trapping mice, shooting birds, drowning the kitchens, kinds of acts. This is what we have studied in this poem. Let's check our understanding. You have to answer this question. The questions are: name the creature in the poem. Where was the snail sitting? And third question is, what did mother remember when she advised the kid not to let snail to be squeezed? Dear children, try to answer these following questions. Have you finished? Okay, let's discuss about the answers. What are the answers for the question? Name the creature in the poem. Which creature named in this poem? Yes, snail. Snail is the creature mentioned in the poem. And the second question is, where was the snail sitting? It was sitting on the windowsill in a rainy night. What did mother remember when she advised the kid not to let snail to be squeezed? She remembers of trapping mice, shooting birds, drowning kittens, and betraying relatives. She remembers these things. Have you got it, children? Very good. Now, let us discuss about the summary of the poem. The poem, title of the poem, For a 5-year-old boy, written by Fleur Edgecock. Now let us discuss about the summary. The poem For a 5-year-old boy is written by Fleur Edgecock. In this poem, the poet ironically points out the contradiction in our day-to-day dealing of life. She points out difference between what she is preaching and doing in her life. Poet illustrates this human behavior by narrating a fictitious episode in which she imagines her 5-year-old kid calling out her after it sees a snail climbing up the windowsill after a rainy night. The mother goes to the child's room and explains that it would be unkind to leave it there because it might climb down to the floor. So it is better to take care of it before someone unknowingly squashes it. She asked the child to pick it up carefully and carry it outside to the garden and leave it there. To the garden and there it to feed daffodil flowers. This is what the summary of the poem. Now, the ending part, that is home assignment. Dear children, see the question. So you have to read the questions and answer the questions in your workbook. Read the question. When did snail appear on the windowsill? And the second question is, list the phrases that suggest the cruel deeds of the mother. And the third question is, what does the snail eat? These are the questions. You have to answer this question. While answering, you have to read the poem 2 or 3 times. After that, you have to answer this question. Have you understand? Okay. Thank you, dear children. Have a nice day.